Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Adam Heath Avitable.
This is the DKS Podcast, a podcast about love, sex, culture, and society. This week, we'll talk about how to be happy during the holidays. Enjoy the show.
And if you're watching us on YouTube, now is the time to hit all the bells and whistles, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and don't miss a single one of our videos. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the DKS Podcast. We've got a great show lined up for you today. As always, we'll be starting off updating each other and all of you what's going on in our personal lives. And then we'll have an email from a listener who has some boyfriend issues. After that, Sarah will talk to us about what to see in Santa Fe. And then it's time for the main topic, where we will discuss the best ways to stay happy for the holidays, whether you're alone or partnered. If you have any questions, topic ideas, or suggestions, we'd love to hear them. So please feel free to call 407-519-0181 and leave a voicemail, or email us at datingkindasuckspodcast@gmail.com. Last time we recorded, Sarah was getting witchy with her Halloween decorations. So how was your Halloween? Did you have any trick-or-treaters?
Well, I know our listeners can't see, but all my Halloween decorations are being put away as we speak, because it's over and I'm switching to Christmas. But Halloween, because I was getting back from New Mexico on that day, it was a rush to get home to then pass out candy for trick-or-treaters. And then I was disappointed because we only had about 6 trick-or-treaters come through. And Roy anticipated that, and I did not. So I bought 2 giant bags of candy, and we are not through them at all. We just have a huge bowl full of chocolate.
Which always that's always the best to me. I feel like that's the best alternative, is to have enough. That's why I always bought, when I had the house, I always bought Halloween candy that I liked, because I was like, if I end up with a bunch left over, I want stuff that I want to eat, not a bunch of the shitty stuff that nobody ever wants.
Yeah, no, and we're eating the good stuff and picking through, they always throw in some shitty candies you don't really like in that mix or whatever, but
what are your shitty candies?
M&Ms.
What on
compared
God's
to
green
Twix
earth are you talking about that you don't
compared
like
to
M&Ms?
Twix or Kit Kat, or like there's Reese's and the Reese's pumpkins, there's better chocolates than M&Ms.
I'm flabbergasted. I thought you were gonna say like Whoppers or like the.
I do not like Whoppers either, but I'm saying we have all of this other great chocolate based candy, and then M&Ms.
Interesting.
Not that I think M&Ms are shitty. I'm just saying I prefer a Twix or a Reese's over M&Ms.
I'm an M&M person, so.
Really? Okay, you would pick M&Ms over the other
stuff. I can't see, but behind me in my new kitchen is a giant jar of peanut M&Ms that I got at the.
That's different. These are just I would prefer peanut M&Ms over just the regular chocolate ones. So yeah, I think it's just the lower tier M&M. If it was like a crisp one or something else, I would eat those. But
that makes sense.
Anyways, but yeah, Halloween was good. Yeah, there was a haunted house a block away from us, so all of the kids congregated there. There must have been 100 or so kids and families, and they had shut down the street.
So
and they did
like a block away. Like
yep, they did not come over. They just needed to cross the street on our block. It was a 2-minute walk, and they stayed on that side of the neighborhood and never came over. But it's okay. I know now.
Well, if you're still there next year, what you got to do is you just have to put up a giant neon sign that says "We have candy," and just points at your house.
Yeah, there were probably 2 or 3 other houses close by that probably didn't get trick-or-treaters either, and they were also pretty well decorated. And it pissed me off because our house was very well decorated on the outside and the inside, and all the kids were hitting up the houses that didn't have any fucking decorations. And I'm like, God damn it, we actually put an effort, but okay, fine.
I remember when I was a kid, the way my neighborhood was situated was, it was like 6 streets, like side streets, and then 2 like main streets, like a ladder basically. And so if you did it properly where you started, you would be able to go back and forth, all the way up to the top and then all the way back down. But there was one little section of like street that just kind of like went off on its own. And I know that a lot of kids never went that way because as you did everything, you covered it. But we always went there because they always had extra candy because nobody ever went over to those houses. So you had to be smart about it. And then I think I realized I was too old to do this when I was like 14 and switching masks and going back for a second round. I think we had double masks, so we'd go through, do it, then put on a new mask and do it all over again.
I think it's fine to go trick-or-treating in your early teens.
How old is too old, do you think?
18 is too old.
18, 100% is too old.
18's too old, but I remember trick-or-treating at 16. But I was also one of those kids that I'm not drinking. I'm not going to Halloween parties. Yeah. I'm still a kid. So, and I'm trying to hold on to that youth. So no one had an issue with it. I was worried when I was, 15, 16 doing it. And I knew that was probably my last year doing it. So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I started to grow a beard when I was 15, 16. So you've seen pictures of me like even at 17 where I looked 40.
Yeah.
So
that's true. I still look like a baby.
Well, that's fun. And didn't you also have another holiday coming that recently happened, right? Roy's birthday.
Roy's birthday, but we didn't really celebrate it because he was so tired from work.
Wow.
It was unfortunate actually. We've kind of gone through this. His work has been really stressful the past month, and I'm like, I hate your fucking job so much because when he finishes work, he just wants to veg out for an hour or so. And then it turns into what's for dinner? So on his birthday, he was so exhausted and I had reservations. And then he kind of looked at me and said, can we just order something and bring it, do something takeout? I'm just too exhausted. So we ended up doing that, which was fine. But just getting out of the house and breaking up routine. And I wanted to do something more celebratory for his birthday. And I get it. It's his birthday. It's what he wants to do. But I, wanted to do something a little bit more to celebrate, and he just wasn't into it. Just that kind of sucked.
Oh yeah, that it's always a little unfortunate.
Yeah,
you feel bad, but you're also like you kind of be excited to go out and just do something kind of fun with him too.
Yeah, it would have been nice to eat at a nice restaurant. Not that we didn't get takeout from a nice restaurant and it was good, but we eat in front of the couch every night. Right. So yeah, but. Yeah, I don't know. Between the two of us, we've kind of been in like this weird, with the weather changing, with his job being stressful, with me being gone more, soon to be gone more because of travels. I'm like, I want to spend as much time with him as possible, but I just feel like he doesn't have the energy and I have the energy after work. So we've been in this feeling weird roommate vibe of, I know we're not roommates, obviously, but he's in his office all day. We barely communicate. And so we actually had to talk about it. Not that it's like a huge problem, but we did have a discussion because I've been feeling really isolated in the house because we don't share a bedroom. We'll sleep in the same bed 2 to 3 nights out of the week for like weekend stuff, but we typically don't share a bedroom during weeknights. And then we don't have lunch together. We don't, I stay on my side of the house. He stays on his side. So I told him I was just feeling like I got emotional. I was like, I just feel very distant from you, even though we're in the same house all fucking day. So we're working on trying to have more like work lunches together and trying to figure out this weird limbo of his job situation because everyone on his team is either leaving or has some kind of injury where they're out for short-term disability, things like that, where his team is very crunched. Wow. And then you have the holidays coming up and I'm like, well, I'm only going to have so many more weeks before I go on my next trip where I'm gone for a month. So I kind of want to maximize that before you can hermit up and work and do all of that. But I want you to have some kind of energy after work and so we can have our time together.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And I mean, I think like you said, it's not a big deal, but it's good to talk about it before it becomes a big deal.
Yeah.
That's important is to, communicate and discuss it and, so you can before it's something where you're resentful about it. You don't want that to happen.
Yeah. Cause I mean, when I'm ready to fuck, he's too tired. You know what I mean? He's too tired. Yeah. So then we went such a long time without having sex too, probably the longest in a relationship of a month without having sex because just different schedules, different energy levels, not on the same page, then not communicating how we were feeling about, being like, oh, it's fine that we do dinner separate tonight. Oh, it's fine. And just all that extra time apart, it just feels like, well, what are we doing? Like,
right.
do we want to be in a relationship? Like, I mean, I legitimately asked that question, and I haven't had this conversation with you separately, but
Yeah, I haven't
I
heard
asked,
any of this.
and I was like, do you want to be in a relationship? I mean, what's the vibe right now? Because I don't feel good about us because we're just passing by one another, not saying anything, no affection during the day. And it'd be different if we were going into the office and we'd say, hey, good morning, cook dinner or cook breakfast, and then like say goodbye on our way to work or whatever. But we're not even having any morning conversations before the work day starts because you just log on and you're locked in your room for 8.5 hours. So it's been tough. But we're working on it. And I think this is just a season of hard because of his job. And
Right.
I'm not used to that.
And also, I'm going to guess, because I've never met anybody who's capable of setting work boundaries like you are, that he is not good at setting work boundaries either, where he works, a lot more hours, puts a lot more work into things. Whereas I know you are the type, and you have been since I've known you, that it's 5 p.m. You're like, I'm done. And
we're done. Fuck
phone's
this.
off. I'm not looking at another notification. And I've always admired that. That's always been something I've never been able to do either. And I think most people aren't able to do that. And so I would guess that's probably also an issue with work, is that he's not able to set the boundaries like, oh, I need to go have a lunch break. Like, I need a lunch break, or I need to take this 45 minutes and go out and do something, just for your own mental health. It's easier to think to yourself, well, if I just sit here and get it all done, so I can absolutely,
or he's
understand
napping
that.
on his work break because he's so fucking tired. I mean,
Jesus, yeah.
It honestly sucks, and I feel for him. But at the same time, I'm like, but we need something, and unfortunately with Halloween, I wish it was more eventful, of the two of us spending time walking around the neighborhood, going to the haunted house, all of those things. But his job, again, I fucking hate his job right now, especially at the end of each month, because he has to work late because it's their sales close of the end of the month. So he'll sometimes work till 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And it sucks when it happens in December because of New Year's.
Yeah,
and then it sucks because of Halloween.
Yeah.
And it just sucks
towards the end of the month, right? Yeah. But
or just like, even if it's a Friday, or sometimes if it falls on a Saturday, he has to work extra. It fucking infuriates me. And there's really nothing he can do about it with a light team. But so we couldn't do anything for Halloween. And I'm like, another instance where we're not doing things together. So he's aware of it. We've working on it, but it's just been kind of rough.
yeah. Well, I want to ask you, what was his reaction when you genuinely said, do you want to be in a relationship?
He was shocked that I would say that.
Yeah.
But that's been how I'm feeling. I was feeling, because I just felt so isolated, and we weren't spending time together. And I'm like, I don't think it's because he doesn't care about me anymore, but he just feels really distant, and what's going on with that. And so we had a conversation earlier in October about it, and it was somewhat work related, but it was one of those, we'll work on it, whatever. And then all hell broke loose in the middle of the fucking month with his job, and it didn't it got worse. And then I was like, okay, well, we're not working on it, and I expressed my concerns, so what are we doing here? And I'm not the one. I immediately resorted back to, what would single Sarah do? Like, not what would Jesus do? What would single Sarah do? Would she tolerate this shit?
Right.
Would she think this is okay? And immediately I was like, no, fuck no. We need to be doing these things, or we're not going to say, we need to fix these problems, or what the fuck is the point?
Yeah.
It's
very true.
So, and I hate to be harsh like that, because obviously I still feel like there's a lot to learn and grow in our relationship, and I still want to be with him, but being in the trenches for a certain amount of time, and I know friends who have been in the trenches for longer than that, but I fucking can't.
Right.
So
yeah, well, I mean, that makes sense. And I think that you and what single Sarah too is also now grown into someone who's learned how to communicate probably a little better, and also maybe see other people's perspectives a little more too, which I think has been good.
Well, I mean, he said something that like immediately pissed me off before we had our conversation, and it just felt like we weren't on the same team. And I was like, what the fuck is this? This is never an issue. So why are we doing like a his and hers, or a you versus me type of thing? So I walked away for 30 minutes, blew off steam, and then came back in and was like, okay, let's have this fucking conversation. And yeah, he was surprised that I was bringing it up, but I was like, look, all of these things have happened in the span of a couple of weeks. can you understand where I'm coming from? Then I was like, yes, I get it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that this is, and then explain the situation. And now we're working on it. But God damn it. It would be easier to just blow up, but that's not productive.
Right. Huh? Wow. All right. And you got travel. So you just got back from Santa Fe just a couple days ago, and then you are actually now you're leaving very soon, next week, right?
Next Friday I'm leaving for South Africa,
which is going to be fantastic. I'm very excited for you.
Yeah, I'm gone for a month. So, and that's the other reason why my Halloween decorations are gone and Christmas is out, because I realized after I booked the trip, damn, I'm not going to be here for a lot of the Christmas festivities that I want to enjoy in Seattle. So I better decorate now to get 2 weeks of it. And then when I come home, I'll have a week and then it'll be Christmas. So yeah, but it'll be nice because say what?
That's true. Yeah. You would come back and it'll be Christmas almost immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and it's a long fucking flight from Seattle to Cape Town. So
what is the flight? What is it? Going Seattle to like DC or something and then down, or
Seattle to London, London to Cape Town. So thankfully I only have to take 2 flights, but they're both 10, 11-hour flights.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then I have an overnight layover on my way back in London. And then on the way to Cape Town, I have like a 9-hour layover.
That's gonna be so great though. And is the weather there? It's
spring. It's spring in South Africa.
Right? So yeah, because it's gonna be nice, beautiful weather for while you're there.
Yeah, it's peaks. This is peak season for South Africa from like November through March. So I'm getting there right at the beginning, which I'm really excited about.
That is exciting. You're gonna be doing a safari, right? At one point,
I'm going to do a safari at Kruger National Park. We'll do a whole what to see on that because
yes, of course,
planning that was a bear. I should just make a guide on like how to budget for that, because it is a high ticket item, a once in a lifetime type of thing. But yeah, I'm excited.
That's great. And I'm guessing Roy doesn't really care about Thanksgiving, so it's not really a big deal that you're gone during Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I mean, I typically try to travel during Thanksgiving anyways. I used to really like that. Not that I don't like that holiday, but I can maximize my paid days off.
Oh, true.
With, if they give me Thursday, Friday, I only have to take 3 vacation days. So
and his sister's nearby, like if he wants to do family things for the holiday, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to go to Portland for Christmas, but I think he's just going to stay here for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hermit out.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. I understand that. I've done that myself.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Well,
so the next time we do an actual episode, it's going to be, we're going to try to do 2 before you leave, so we have an extra one in the bank basically, but then you're going to have so much to talk about when you get back too. I can only imagine.
Yeah, well, time zones between us recording is going to be tough when I'm there, because even just communicating with Roy when I'm there is going to be hard, because I'll be working, but 9 to 5 in like East Coast, I can't even explain it, but it's like 12 hours ahead or something stupid. So
are you going to be working all night at work to do your
I'll be working from 3 to 11 in South Africa, which matches 8 to 4 p.m. East Coast time, which is 6 a.m. Yeah, 6 a.m. to no. That's 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. Pacific time. So I have to meet Roy somewhere there between 5. Yeah, or it'll probably be midnight in Seattle, and it'll be early in my day, and we'll probably connect then.
I was on the plus side, he's a night owl, so like even his late night stuff, you'll be able to talk. But if we manage to record it all, I'll be surprised. But we'll try to.
It'll be tough.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, look at that. That sounds. I'm jealous of your trip. I'm not jealous of the flight in any way whatsoever.
The flight's gonna suck ass. Yeah, I'm not. It's not like I'm flying business class. I don't have business class money or airline points, so I'm economy all the fucking.
Although
way.
I imagine the points you're gonna get from this one should be pretty decent. From this
Oh yeah.
flight, should go a long way towards another international flight.
Mm-hmm. But probably still not business. But I'm not balling like that. But anyways, speaking of traveling, you just traveled to your new home location.
I did. Yeah. So I am now officially in my apartment in Tulsa. I've been here like 9 days, 10 days, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm slowly getting settled. It's Been exhausting. It was exhausting leaving Florida and driving to Tulsa because I was driving, 3 to 5 hours a day and then stopping in a hotel and trying to get workout and trying to crank out a full 8 hour worth of 8 hours worth of work because I didn't want to like take off any time. I wanted to be able to actually work and get paid while I'm traveling. So I was doing all that. And so that was exhausting, just the driving and working and driving and working and driving and working. And then when I got here, that was great. I managed to time it that I did have an air mattress arrive the day that I got here. And
Nice.
they let me move in a day early, which I thought was really cool. That I got here in the afternoon, and my lease didn't officially start till the next day, but she just gave me my keys and was no problem.
Did she charge you like another prorated rent?
No, just like, yeah, just go,
Really?
yeah. She's like, yeah, whatever. Like, she's like, what am I going to make you stay somewhere for a night? Like, the apartment's ready for you. Why not? You've already got power there, etc. So, yeah,
That's nice.
yeah. I was. I don't know if that's the Midwestern thing that they were nice about, or just she was really nice.
I think you lucked out because a lot of places are not that
I
kind.
agree. I agree.
They're like too fucking bad. Your moving day's tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. So I moved in and yeah, had an air mattress to sleep in, and I realized how little I had when I was able to unload my car, basically. And I was like, oh, it's all in here. I have everything, but I didn't have any of the things.
Everything, yeah.
Everything, and my other stuff coming from a storage unit in Florida was being delivered later. But I was like, I really don't have that much. And I'm glad that I had the air mattress, because otherwise I literally would have been sleeping in the tub. Like, I have a big garden tub. I was like, I was prepared. I had a pillow. I was going to take a pillow and just like sleep in the tub. And I was like, I guess I could sleep in that, but luckily the air mattress arrived. So that was a plus.
Damn, really roughing it.
One thing, and speaking of roughing it, one thing, and I don't even know if I told you this, one thing that I did learn my first night here is that I'm so used to. So for the last how many years, I've been living in Airbnbs, staying in like, staying in like the condo, staying in like hotels, but like staying in places where like everything's provided generally. And so I'm not used to having to prepare or provide certain things, like toilet paper.
So you didn't have any.
I didn't have any, and now I usually bring, like, I have like those. Remember way back when I was we were visiting, we were in Little Rock. I asked you to pick up some like wet wipes or whatever.
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah,
because he brought them to me at the bar in the hotel, and it was like weird. You're like, "Hi, I've got your wet wipes here," and then we went up to the hotel room for an hour.
Yes, that was very weird. Yeah.
But I usually have those, but I didn't. I'd run out of those, and I was like, oh, I had a new like a box on order from Amazon. And I had literally not unloaded my entire car yet because I was so tired. I just pulled in just my one suitcase that had just closed. So let me just say RIP to a pair of socks. And
stop it.
That's all. I had nothing. Stop. What would you do? All of a sudden you like,
wait, what time? Okay, what time was it though?
It was like 9 o'clock at night. And like I had gotten the air mattress, and I was exhausted. I really didn't have anything. Yeah, this apartment was so empty at that point. I had nothing. There was nothing in here to, like, I didn't even have any towels, so I couldn't even like go take a shower or whatever. Like,
that was my next thought.
Yeah. So my towels were still in the car, and so I would have had to try to get out to the car, which was not was not something that I could have done, obviously.
Damn.
Yeah. So literally, I had to use a pair of socks.
At what point were you like, oh, great, I don't have toilet paper, like mid shit?
Basically, as soon as I sat down, I was like, oh, this is gonna be bad. I don't know what I'm gonna do. So yeah, that was lovely. Let me just tell you that it was just a lovely experience. The next day I worked my ass off. I got my bidet installed on my toilet, which is very nice, and made sure that I had got toilet paper and everything too. So I actually in the apartment complex, they have a like a guest bathroom like in the hallway or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I went in there in the morning, and I just unrolled a whole bunch off the roll and brought it in, so I had at least something just in case.
That was my recommendation, but it's not like you were mid shit when you realized you fucked up.
I didn't realize until it was too
before.
Late. Like, it was just I was so used to just always having something, and then I was just like, oh no, this isn't a hotel. This isn't like. And the other, like, my brain has just been so used to living in places where I have these things already that I haven't had to move into somewhere like brand new it's been years. I moved into my house in 2010. Like, that was how long ago? This was so long ago. The other thing that I keep doing, and actually right now, is I don't lock my door.
Still,
It's like it's unlocked right now. Because I
bro,
walk out.
what the fuck? Lock your fucking
So it's an
door.
apartment door that just swings shut after me, and I'm so used to hotels that you just shut and they're automatically, they're automatically locked. That for the first couple of days, I just left and went off and did things and came back and oh yeah, my door's open. My door's unlocked.
The
Because
joys of not being a woman.
well, yes, and being an
You
idiot,
wouldn't lock
but
your hotel room door?
no, I mean it's already locks. It locks automatically when you shut it.
The fucking no, you add the other fucking
No, I
latch
don't
on
care
top
about
of
that
that. You don't.
I never do any of
No,
that stuff.
safety.
Oh yeah, no, I've never done any of that. So yeah, I'm just not used to actually having to lock a door either. So I've had to get used to that. That's been interesting. Trying to remember to do that.
A child, a
I
straight up
know.
child.
I know, really. So yeah, so now I'm this last 10 days has been absolutely exhausting, and I feel like I haven't been this tired since when I left Florida that for the first time and I had to pack everything and do all that, and then like just because trying to load everything and then meet up with the moving people who that was a whole fucked up thing that they took forever. They took me in a whole extra day but then I brought everything here and I filled up my entire living room with boxes and then having to cart these boxes out to the trash after I threw away stuff. Like I was insane, by the way. When I was in Florida, and I think I was slowly going insane when I was trying to pack and sell everything that I owned in 40 days, basically.
Yeah.
Because I packed things in that I put in my storage unit that I don't even know why, like things I'm like a shirt or whatever that I'm like, I haven't worn this. I've never worn this shirt. Why would I pack it? Why wouldn't I just throw it away? Like, why am I like things like that? And then empty picture frames that I put in my storage unit and things that I'm just like, why? Not like nice picture frames, not like some high quality, like, giant picture frame that would have cost a couple $100 or something, like a $2 fucking Target picture frame that I just decided, oh, this needs to go in my storage unit instead of a trash can. And so now I've had to go through stuff that 3 years ago, Adam did a shitty job sorting and organizing, and I have to organize it now. And I'm mad at past me for doing that shit. But
Can you blame past you though? You were in a time crunch.
I was in a time crunch, I know, but at least now I do have the time. And I threw away.
Yeah.
I threw away picture frames. I threw away a whole giant Tupperware filled with picture frames. Some of them still have the photos in them. I'm like, I don't like this person anymore, so I just didn't even bother taking the photo out, and just tossed the entire thing in there. I threw a whole suitcase full of clothes in the dumpster.
Jesus.
Like I looked at all of my shirts. I pulled them out if they had anything wrong with them, like the slightest like stain or tear or anything. I was like, well, I'm not gonna wear this again. Like this is it. And I had a bunch of those because I've been wearing the same 9 shirts for the last 3 years, basically. Just over and over again. So of course they're gonna wear down.
So you're a minimalist.
I'm not as much of a minimalist as I really wanted to be. Like I'm looking at all these books and everything that I decided to keep.
But you can still get rid of them and continue your journey of minimalism. It is nice
to see some of my books again, though. I like it was like oh, I like my books. Like I've missed you, books, because some of these are like I love reading and like being able to have my books. And since I only have one chair right now, I have nowhere to sit and read. I have this really uncomfortable office chair that I'm sitting in right now. They're terrible, but it was like a $50 Amazon. We'll get it there the same day chair. So I ordered it right as I was arriving in town, so it would be here the same day. I have an actual office chair coming tomorrow, I think, but and then my bed is still an air mattress, so I haven't fixed that, but it's on a frame at least, so I feel a little more like an adult. But I still have nowhere to sit. Like I have a friend come over and help me install or build my entertainment center yesterday, and we had to sit on the floor obviously for the whole thing. But then afterwards, she's like, "Oh, you really have no furniture?" I was like, "No, I have nothing." But I have a recliner coming tomorrow too, which I'm excited about. Old man recliner with a massage and heat and all that stuff. That's going to be nice.
You're literally 70 years old.
I mean, it's going to be nice to be able to sit in my recliner, and then I can play video games on my giant TV that I bought, so I've got a, actual TV again for the first time in a long time. But yeah, so getting organized has been exhausting, but my goal is to be completely unpacked by tomorrow, actually. If we completely like everything's out of a box and the boxes are put away or thrown away.
Damn, there's a lot of boxes behind you.
Yeah, just that stack behind me. That's going to be all done tomorrow. And then organized, like at least the books stacked where I want them to go in bookshelves, and when I get bookshelves organized within the next 2 weeks. And then I want to be able to try to be done by then. Like that's my goal, is to be here in a month, and within the first month make sure that everything is there, and then I'll start putting stuff on the walls and everything after that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, we have a plan. That's good to know.
Yeah, but it's been it's been exhausting, and otherwise Tulsa's been, I haven't really been able to explore yet because I've just been so busy unpacking. I went out on Halloween for a couple hours, had dinner um and uh and had a couple drinks, and that was nice, but that was really the extent of it. I went to a restaurant called Prime. It's like Prhyme.
Okay.
I don't know why they named it that, but I kept wanting to call it like Prime, like Stewie and
Fancy.
Family Guy, because like Cool Whip, like he just like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I'm at the Prime Steakhouse. It's it's Prime. The food is prime here, but it was good. It was nice to have like an actual real meal. And then the other big issue that I've really learned recently is it maybe this is from because I'm living downtown, but the grocery stores here are fucking awful.
Wait,
Um,
what's your closest / local grocery store?
So there's like a Target grocery, and then there's like a Save a Lot, and which is
Okay,
considered to
I
be a
don't
decent.
consider either of those grocery stores.
Well,
Where's your
Target's relatively good, but there's also one. It's called like, oh, it's because of an R. It's like Razors or Rogers. It's not a brand that I've ever heard of, but that's the one that everyone considers. I asked my friend who lived in Florida. I was like, "What's the Publix of Tulsa?" And
Yeah,
basically,
that's what I'm looking
yeah.
for.
So
Yeah.
she said this place, Rogers or something, that I can't reach on Instacart. For some reason, Instacart doesn't have access to it. So I've been using whatever Instacart has access to, and they have ratings of the different stores. So I picked two different times. So I've had groceries ordered twice now. They're out of everything, like English muffins. I just wanted English muffins. Don't even have any in stock. The guy today, I was looking for mayonnaise, ice cream, a couple other things. No mayonnaise. We didn't have any mayonnaise. Like, how do you fucking not have mayonnaise? Like, it's a basic thing. Salt and pepper. No, sorry, no salt and pepper.
Really?
Yeah, it was insane. And of course, I also tried for English muffins a second time. No English muffins there either. I don't know if does maybe Tulsa doesn't believe in English muffins. That is a possibility that it's just not a thing. But I'm thinking that I'm gonna have to just get my ass out to like the suburban grocery store.
That was what I was gonna say. Stop using Instacart and just get your ass in a car and go to a grocery store and
Yeah,
shop around and
I'm
see.
gonna have to just do that and just drive the little bit out of town and go to a good grocery store, because the I think the ones that are in the downtown area aren't necessarily always the best quality and maybe
Yep.
the best. Yeah.
That
So
was my Nashville downtown living problem, was I had to
yeah,
drive 15 minutes to a good grocery store because the downtown one sucked ass.
yeah. So I think that that's definitely the issue here. So, but I'm trying to get some normal groceries and start to be able to cook and eat here, because the other good, this is good, it's a bad thing but it's good, is the DoorDash situation here is terrible as far as like the type of foods I like. There's just, it's really not a lot, and their quality is not great, like
You
so
need to get off of DoorDash.
well,
You've
that's what I'm
been using
saying.
it so much when
Oh
you've
yeah,
been
yeah.
traveling.
So I'm like, that's actually a good thing. It's driving me to actually cook more, so that's good. But yeah, so I'm here. I'm alive. I've survived. This is why the episodes are delayed. But now I'm here, and I'm not going to be here, so I'll be able to. Any
Solid
future delays?
Wi-Fi?
Yeah, so I know like high speed internet is amazing. And yeah, it's been good. It's really been kind of the one sad thing is this is out of nowhere, but it's really made me miss my mom, because like my mom would be like the person I'd be calling about everything, and like just as like little things that have been going on, or whatever, and the funny stories and stuff like that, or just, hey, can you believe this or whatever, and my dad's just not the same. I call my dad and tell him that, oh, he didn't have any toilet paper. He's like, well, that's why you need to plan ahead. And I'm like, that's my dad's, he has to have a solution for everything. I'm like, I didn't, no shit, but like I understand that, but I didn't, and here are the results, and it's funny, well, not for my father. He's just hasn't been the same. So it's made me miss her a lot. Especially last week, I think, just because there's a lot of things I'm like, oh yeah, I'm driving over here, I'd love to catch up with her and stuff like that. So that's been a little sad,
Yeah.
but that's just part of the process, I think, unfortunately. So yeah, is there anything else I need to talk about? I don't think so. I think I'm talked out.
Let's get a podcast going. Yeah.
Let's get the episode going.
We're all caught up.
I know. Let's go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we are going to have an email from a listener.
Well, like Adam mentioned, we have an email from a listener, and we always plug that you can call our hotline or email us. So if you want us to read your deepest, darkest questions, or want other people to hear you talking about problems that you have, you can feel free to call our hotline at 407-519-0181, or you can always email us like this listener Megan did at datingkindasuckspodcast@gmail.com. So without further ado, let me just read this email and then we'll get into how we feel about this. So she starts off, "Hi, Sarah and Adam. I need help with feeling needy. I have been with my boyfriend for a little over a year, and the connection is amazing. We have great sex and the most fun together. We only see each other once a week and an occasional long weekend or overnight date. We are polyamorous, and he is married while I am a solo poly, no nesting partner. This suits me very well as I have a close-knit group of single friends who I consider my lifelong true soulmates that I get emotional support from in abundance. I also work full-time and attend school part-time and have a big involved family. My only complaint really is that during the week between our dates, he doesn't communicate with me much. He almost never initiates texting me to check in, and though he usually responds quickly if I am the one to reach out first, it is with 1 or 2 word responses and almost never a follow-up question to see how I'm doing. I try and wait for him to initiate reaching out, but I grow impatient because I really do have him on my mind often. The way he acts when we are together makes me feel like, the way he acts when we are not together makes me feel not paid attention to. In contrast, when he is with me in person, he is very present and affectionate and demonstrative. I recently brought this up that I wish he reached out to me more and initiated contact and checked in, and he said he would do so, but after a few days of trying, we were back to our old pattern. I'm aware that this is a low-stakes issue, but I am genuinely curious about your advice in this situation. How do I get him to text me more, or how do I get better about not having much interaction with him between dates and still feel secure?"
Wow, well, that is an interesting problem. I can definitely see where you might feel a little needy. What I would say, Megan, is that he has his relationship, his marriage, and you say that you have an equally fulfilling relationship with your group of single friends, and you have an active family life. And so, my biggest question to you is, what do you need from him? Like, what is it that you're expecting from him in constant communication? Is it just some type of validation that he's thinking about you as much as you're thinking about him? Or are you concerned that he's not interested in you, except, in those times when he shows up, and he comes in, and of course he's there and he's present with you when he's there, but he's not actually present otherwise. It does seem a little problematic to me, just a little bit, because part of a poly relationship is it's a relationship, and that relationship doesn't end when he's not in your bed. That relationship, is supposed to be something that's ongoing. It's supposed to be hey, this is, like, just talk about your day, etc. Like it's having an actual relationship. It's just, there's multiple partners. So with that, to me, it almost feels like there's a risk that you're just kind of, hey, this is the person that I fuck once a week, and I don't have to talk to her except when I'm there, and I put all my effort into it, and then my wife's cool with it because it kind of keeps me occupied that one night a week. And this sounds harsh, but that's kind of how I feel like maybe you're worried about it, and so I don't know anything about beyond this, but to me, you've told him that it's important to you, and he has not responded in the way that you want, and so I think you have to decide how important it really is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think those are all really good points that you bring up. And I don't think when you said in your email, this is a low stakes issue, I was like, is it though?
Yeah, is it? No.
Because communication, we always say, is so important. And this is something that is important to you and how he communicates with you. So maybe it's not low stakes. I know we talked about you already having the conversation with him, but I think it's worth, outside of all the things that Adam mentioned, I think it's worth having another conversation with him and asking him these questions. So outside of just him initiating texting, is his communication style, would he prefer to talk on the phone or do FaceTime every once in a while during the week? Is he opposed to those things? Would he be more comfortable doing that? Because just from my perspective of dating Roy, he's not a texter. He's not a he is does not communicate with me well through other mediums, but we're really good together face to face. So is it that, and then asking him, what does he need as far as communication? Is he fine as is? Like you mentioned, he sees her, on the weekend and then goes back to his wife, and that's fine. And that's all he needs. Or does he prefer another method, like not texting or not snail mail, but you know what I mean? Yes. What's the other communication style that he prefers? Because clearly it can't just be this, right? It can't just be in person and then nothing else. That really doesn't work. So I would just ask him what communication he needs throughout the week. And if he says, "Oh, nothing, I'm good," I would be very cautious with that answer. And that might be worth evaluating the relationship, because you need to focus on what's important to you. And if he's not even trying to meet your needs somewhat halfway or put in the effort, that's something to think about.
Yeah, and I think that's an excellent question too, for you to ask him about. Maybe you could like try to do a FaceTime call occasionally or something like that, or a phone call. That's good, because he might be like, "Oh yeah, that'd be great," and maybe he'll call you on his way to work, a couple times a week or something like that, and just to chat. But I would definitely, like I said, Sarah makes excellent points, and just be very, very careful about whether or not you're in the same relationship that he's in. It's basically that, that you guys are on the same page, because right now it sounds like maybe you're not. And and if that ends up being okay, then you have to figure out how to be okay with it. But I think that's going to be the kind of the struggle for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but thank you so much, Megan, for emailing us and just asking these questions. And I hope it's valuable. I know it's valuable to the listeners as well. So
yeah,
if you
and like we said multiple times, we'd love to hear like what happens afterwards.
Right. Yes. We never know.
We never know. Like we sometimes someone will reply and say, "Oh, thank you for the advice," but then we never hear like what happened. Are they still with the person, or what's going on, etc. So in time, once you figure this out, please feel free to update us, because we'd like an update, and I'm sure listeners would love an update as well. And of course, if you do have your own question that you'd like to ask, you can email us at datingkindasuckspodcast@gmail.com. And you can also call us at 407-519-0181 and leave a voicemail. And I would love for everybody to do that. Anybody who has any type of question, because this is I feel like this is a good way for us to kind of expand and talk about new topics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And understand what people are struggling with right now too, because we're both not dating, we're not really in the scene where it's like, okay, these are common problems we're getting from a lot of our listeners. Let's really dive into this problem, or, whatever else people are concerned about.
That's right. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and take another quick break. And when we come back, it's time for What to See with Sarah G, focused on Santa Fe, New Mexico. So we'll be right back. And now for the favorite part of everybody's episode. Everybody,
is it?
It is. I think it's the favorite part. Everybody loves to hear about your travels, and especially because you have such good tips. So everybody, please enjoy this segment. What to See with Sarah G with Santa Fe.
Yeah. So like I mentioned earlier, I recently took a trip to Santa Fe, but this was a solo trip to a new United States state of New Mexico. And I've heard from friends that New Mexico is highly underrated, and I had to see it for myself. So not only did I visit Santa Fe during my trip, but I did a little exploring in Albuquerque and Taos. But I decided to make Santa Fe my home base for the trip just because of its proximity. And then, of course, it is just a must-see destination when in the state. So for those who aren't familiar, the city of Santa Fe is about an hour drive from Albuquerque. And if you're traveling to New Mexico in general, it's pretty likely that your flight is going to be in and out of the Albuquerque airport, just because it's the bigger city and more of the hub. So, and I've mentioned this in the past, but when I land at an airport, I'm always like, fuck, what do I do? It's the most stressful time of getting off, figuring out how I'm going to get to my destination. So I like to have those things planned as soon as I land. So I decided to get a rental car because I was going to be doing more exploring throughout New Mexico, but there are other options to get to Santa Fe if you're only visiting Santa Fe. They have the Rail Runner Express, which you can take an Uber to like the main train station stop and then take it to Santa Fe, which can be helpful depending on the time of your flight, or you can do an Uber driver. it's just an hour drive. So, and I didn't Uber while I was there, so prices could vary or be expensive. So just keep that in mind if you're really only flying into Albuquerque and just want to see Santa Fe. But yeah, once you're there, let's talk about where to stay. Through extensive research, there are a lot of really solid options in the area, but I highly recommend staying at the Inn at Venessi for a couple of reasons, not only just because I stayed there, but number one, it's 2 walking blocks from the historic plaza and the Rail Yard Arts District. So for Adam, that means it's a 10-minute walk to either destination. And
probably a quick little Uber drive.
No, but the benefit is you want to walk around and explore the area, and Santa Fe is very walkable, like literally walkable for Adam. So it's a 10-minute walk to either of these 2 main parts of town to visit. So simple just as far as location. And I will say too, because of the paid parking spots and just some of the narrow roads and traffic, depending on time of year you visit, it's probably easier to walk than to fight with traffic. So that's great. Number 2, the Inn at Venessi is a boutique hotel experience that feels pretty quiet and remote because it's outside of the main hustle and bustle of downtown Santa Fe. So I really felt like once I crossed the main street and was there, I was like, oh, there could be sweeping mountains behind, and I wouldn't know that I was right in the city. It was really nice to be a little bit off the beaten path, but still close to everything. And they have 21 uniquely designed rooms that are either deluxe rooms or suites. So unlike other kind of cookie cutter hotel rooms where you have your bed, your desk, your whatever, each room was really a different vibe of New Mexico. And I really like the fact that, and I stayed in a deluxe king, I wasn't in a suite, but the shower was like a waterfall shower that had all of this like really beautiful tile around. The bed had a really nice bedspread that was like New Mexican inspired. And so I really did like those touches that felt like, oh, I'm in a New Mexican home, which was really nice. And then number 3 were the dining options. I don't know about you, Adam, but I love a solid, not a cardboard, but a solid complimentary breakfast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like I like going out and traveling other places for breakfast every once in a while, but if the hotel has a good place to eat for breakfast, I'm probably going to stay there just because it's easier. And this was fantastic because each morning they had breakfast enchiladas with either red sauce or green sauce. They had breakfast burritos, they had quiches, they had vegetarian and like meat options for those, Mexican styled dishes, but then they also had your standard like toast, fruit, yogurt, coffee, tea, and a bunch of other things to eat and drink, which was a really nice variety. And every day was a little bit different. So it was nice knowing that, oh, are they going to have burritos or enchiladas today? Or, ooh, what other things will they have?
Are you the type who goes down like and actually like sits in the restaurant and eats the free breakfast?
I do. I know you don't, but I do. And I enjoyed my morning coffee and sitting there with everybody else each morning and just enjoying the buffet.
Yeah, I'll go down and I'll load up my pockets. Like, I'll bring I'll wear cargo shorts so I can fit like, the chocolate milk in 2 different pockets, and then like a thing of juice in the other pocket, and then all my silverware in a pocket, and then I'll be able to carry 2 plates of food back upstairs, and then that's that, and then eat in the
no, you don't want to do that
privacy
here.
of my home, privacy of my hotel room. But
no, like I mean, they didn't have prepackaged stuff. I mean, you had a server who was giving you, your juice choices, or
all right,
even
I would eat there then, I guess.
Yeah, and it was nice because it was included in my stay, which was for all guests included. And then on top of just like the breakfast side of it, then you also get a complimentary welcome drink at the bar. They have a bar and restaurant that's also on the property. So I checked out their dining option for dinner and learned that not only do they have the restaurant that's been attached to the hotel, but then they have the bar, and it's been a staple in Santa Fe for over 40 years. I'd eaten at a couple other places in Santa Fe and didn't really find any live music or entertainment, but this place had some really great variety of entertainment. On certain nights of the week, they transformed the space into a piano bar where guests can request songs and have dinner, which was really fun. That was when I was there. And they also had recently introduced flamenco night, where then they set up a dance floor and some musicians and the dancers, which is pretty cool, which I wish I would have seen that too. But just overall, really cool entertainment environment while also dining at a nice restaurant. And the food was fantastic, just like the breakfast was great. So yeah, I was impressed by that as well. So yeah, definitely for a hotel, whether you're staying at the Inn at Venetia or you want to find, maybe you have another hotel option, but you want to find some cool live entertainment, check out the Inn at Venetia. Okay. So there's so much to do. As far as things to do and see, I think I only scratched the surface, but I'm just going to list out a bunch of things you could do. You can visit the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, which is really popular, or you can visit the New Mexico Museum of Art. You can check out the numerous churches that are across the city. The Loretto Chapel is pretty popular, and the San Miguel Chapel, which is the oldest church in the United States, is also pretty popular. You can drive like a 10 to 15 minute drive to the Meow Wolf, which has a lot of interactive art installations. They have a couple of locations, one in Santa Fe. Totally worth checking out. It is so fun. You can spend hours there.
And one thing is that if you see random people there, don't run up to them and say, "Are you Tobias from Arrested Development?"
Shut the fuck. Okay. The only reason I thought I saw Tobias from Arrested Development is because he was in town a night before doing a comedy special. So I thought, oh, I knew he was in town. And then I saw this guy who had a hat on and had very similar facial features, but then it was dark and I was almost convinced, and then I stopped myself, and I'm pretty happy.
Did you actually figure out that if it was him?
It wasn't him. It wasn't him.
Not him. Okay.
No, it wasn't him.
I mean, that's a logical jump that he would go to something like Meow Wolf on the next day or whatever. I mean, that would make sense. Yeah. So, but okay.
But I looked up who his wife was, and then I saw the guy's wife at Meow Wolf, and that was not the same woman.
Who's his wife?
I couldn't tell you now, but I was like in it, sitting in one of the things. Like, if I'm going to introduce myself, I better be fucking right.
And you better know his name too. Do you remember his name?
No, I just know Tobias. David Cross. Yeah, of course. So yeah, that's not something to care about really when you're in Santa Fe, but that happened to me.
It was very funny. It was just when you like text me like, I think Tobias is here at Meow Wolf, and I'm like, who's Tobias? Like, because you didn't give any context. It was pretty funny though. But I've heard that that's actually a pretty cool place. I know they're across the country, different installations.
Yeah. So the one in Santa Fe, it's a mystery on why this family disappeared. So I didn't realize that. I did no research going there because I just heard from my friend who's in art school that it's really cool and I should check out. So I walked through the whole place, and that took about an hour and really got my fill of pressing things and then music and lights change or whatever. And then I noticed people in the main house area were congregating and reading things and whatever, and there were QR codes to save clues or whatever. So I started doing that. But then I realized if I really dug into this, I was going to be there for 3 or 4 more hours.
Oh, wow.
And it would have taken forever to try to solve this mystery. But if you have the time, and even the people working there were saying, you're not going to solve it all in one visit. You'll probably come back if you really want to solve it. But it is really cool and really fun. And I kind of want to continue to visit Meow Wolves around the US because it was a really cool experience. Other things you can do, you can take a stroll around the historic plaza. There is so much shopping to do in Santa Fe. Turquoise is really popular, silver jewelry, just a lot of locally handmade crafts. So around that historic plaza, go shopping, have fun with that. And then like I mentioned before, the Rail Yard Arts District, they have a local farmers market that was going on when I was there on Saturday. It was decked out with people. It was so fun. That was there. That's where if you take the rail runner to get into Santa Fe, they have the train station there, and you can take the Sky Railway, which is like a 2-hour immersive train ride experience. They have musicians and drinks and just really beautiful landscape of New Mexico that you can check out on the train ride there, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, like I said, that was just scratching the surface of things to do. If I could go back, they have like a whole other street that you could spend hours on going to different art galleries. There are so many bars and restaurants that are all amazing. But yeah, if you are planning on visiting, I do have some tips because I messed up. It is 7,000 feet above sea level. And if you did not know, I live at sea level. So my first day and a half, I was a little screwed up. And I've been to other places that have like 6,000 feet above sea level, like 6,000 elevation, whatever. And I made the mistake of assuming that it would be the same. If you want to go to Santa Fe and then stop in Albuquerque and do things, I went immediately from 6,000 feet to 13,000 feet of elevation because I did this tram ride. I did Sandia Peak in Albuquerque. So I went up from sea level to that in the span of a couple hours, and that messed me up. And then when I got back down to 7,000 feet of elevation, I was dizzy. I probably wasn't drinking enough water that I needed to. I brought a bottle of water and was constantly filling that up, but I probably could have had more. I brought sunscreen, but if you're visiting, because of elevation, because they get over 300 days of sun a year, like the whole state of New Mexico, you're closer to the sun. Bring a hat, sunscreen, sunglasses. Don't mess around with the sun. Don't get sunburnt. Be hydrated. Bring lotion. Don't be stupid.
I'm impressed. You do look just as pale as ever, so you didn't get any sunburn.
No, it was crazy because I was FaceTiming Roy, and every day he was like, and I was in similar lighting. Well, maybe not ring light lighting, but similar lighting. And he was like, you look like you're sunburnt. But I think my face was just flushed from the elevation because my face was red from the time I got there to the time I left. And then I came back. I was like, I thought I was sunburnt.
Right.
But I wasn't. I'm still pale as fuck. So, but still bring sunscreen. Don't be dumb about it. Because there were a lot of people who were like pretty badly sunburnt. And yeah, it was October, but still, what?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Of course. Yeah. And I again, highly underrated state, Santa Fe in general, and New Mexico. So please let me know if you plan on visiting this area, because I want to hear about your experience in New Mexico. I loved it. It was a great time.
Well, great. Well, we're going to go take our final break, and when we come back, we're going to hit the topic of how to be happy for the holidays.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, but every holiday season, we do some kind of episode on what to do if you're in a relationship for the holidays, how to handle being single during the holidays. And now we're like, well, just in general, how to be happy, whether you're single, not single, in a good life situation, not so great. The holidays can be challenging no matter the circumstance, I think.
Yeah, I think the holidays can, for people who are like parts of big families, they can be giant, stressful situations. For people who are alone, they can be, they feel very alone. And then there's everybody in the middle. And I think that, so I think everybody kind of goes through something during the holidays. Even people who purport to love all of the holidays probably are, kind of at their breaking point if everything that doesn't go perfectly. And so let's
high stakes.
Yeah, exactly. Let's talk about maybe the ways to kind of be, be happy and or at least just, be okay with the holidays and maybe not see it as something to dread, because I think that's never going to be healthy.
Yeah. Well, there are also a lot of other factors around dreading the holidays because a lot of people, at least if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, are dealing with winter.
Right.
And just the time change that just happened over the weekend. And now it's dark more often or sooner. And you're dealing with that. And how to handle that on top of the holidays is not really a good combination.
Well, yeah, because I think the holidays obviously coming. That's why we say, I mean, you say holidays and it's obviously we're talking about like the winter holidays, not, not 4th of July. It's not like how to be happy during the height of summer, or whatever. It's always when there's the chance of it being cold, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, but it's also the chance of it, with the nights being longer. And I think that makes a big difference, especially, people who really enjoy the sun. Like you're a great example of that. That was your biggest concern moving to Seattle, I think, was how the weather was going to affect you during the holidays.
And it really does affect me. I think the first year living here, I was totally fine because the excitement of being somewhere new. But now setting in, it is rainy, it is darker. I mentally have to prepare myself for the upcoming, not just the end of December timeframe, but just throughout the winter to survive, and just doing really simple things that I would have never done before that I'm happy I'm doing now, of taking vitamin D like every single morning. I'm taking vitamin D because of the lack of sunshine and just to help with seasonal affective disorder. I have a red light therapy panel, but also you could get, a sun lamp or something like that to combat not seeing a lot of sunlight. Those are two like really simple things I've implemented. I already call you on my walks every day, but just some kind of movement and getting out of the house is helpful. And then recently I just put up all my Christmas decorations because not only am I not going to be able to celebrate all of December here in Seattle. But I've read, apparently, I read that the people who put up their decorations earlier, it helps with some of those like
interesting,
the depression and all of that, because you're getting the twinkle lights, you're getting some of the excitement of the holidays, of just the decorations that can offset that, or just some more light in the house.
I guess that would help for people who get excited about the holidays.
Yeah. Yeah. If you get excited,
if you don't get excited about the holidays, then that won't really help getting the excitement of the holidays. So,
maybe not. Yeah. But some twinkle lights are nice, I think.
Some people are Grinches, like you said.
Yeah, like you.
Before winter break, like me. And,
yeah.
For me, it's just the holidays. I mean, when I was married, I enjoyed the holiday because it was like we made our own thing. We had our own tradition. And so we would do that, and it was nice. And then when I got divorced, and I would have some holidays, like usually Thanksgiving, where I would host dinner for anybody who didn't have anywhere to go. I enjoyed that. It wasn't the holiday; it was the kind of being able to
community.
Being able to like help other people who might be feeling alone. If it wasn't for them, like this, I mean, this year is going to be the first time that I'm. It'll be the first holidays without my mother. Although last holiday with my mother, she wasn't really she wasn't there. Like the last Thanksgiving and Christmas were probably the worst Thanksgiving and Christmas I could ever had, because it's basically my dad and I just sitting by her bedside for a month straight. So that was pretty awful. But beyond that, well, I don't even really consider those holidays. Thanksgiving here, I'm like, I don't know anybody to invite over for Friendsgiving. I don't have a dining room table. That's another big thing. But so now I can just ignore it. Now I can just it's just another day for me. It's like, oh great, it's just a day that I won't be able to go to the store or something because the stores are closed, right. And I think that's for me, because it's just like I don't see the point of the holiday, and it's just unless I have a reason to celebrate it, and it doesn't really do anything for me. But the weather is one of those things that it's funny, doesn't like disturb me. Like I love, I'm hoping it gets cold soon. We had a couple of days of it being like in the 30s, and it was beautiful, and like I was loving it. And then now it's like gotten up to the 70s again for a couple of days. But I'm like let's get down cold. I want it to be dark. I want it to be rainy. Like I would love for it to rain every day. Like that's like perfect stay inside and read a book weather for me. And that's my happiness, is staying inside and reading a book, not going on walks, and stuff like that. Like,
well, everybody's different. That's why we're bringing up other ideas to help with being sad, if you're sad during the holidays. But I don't know. Okay, so say it's not any of the rain or whatever, or even just being alone.
Yep.
The financial stress of this time of year can get, especially with just the economy, global economy.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I'm seeing so many posts, especially on TikTok, on social media, of people being really stressed of, I'm not buying a lot of gifts this year. I fucking can't spend the money on this, or, little thing. I don't know how people are spending $500 on new Christmas decorations. That's just not,
right.
It's not in my budget. And so people get stressed and upset about their financial situation this time of year, because they feel like it is the season of giving. I should be contributing in some way, shape, or form. And you don't have to, right? Like it's hard to come to terms with if you've always been that person in years past, and now this one year you're in a tough spot and you're not. You're thinking to yourself, oh, where's my life? It turns into this weird end of year life check of, how's my life going? Am I doing the things I want to do? Oh, I'm not there. Then you start getting sad about just the state of everything going on around you.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. There's and it can be people who want to please other people, and I think sometimes it's okay to say to yourself, hey, I can't get everybody the gift that I want to get. I can't I can be there, and I can have good thoughts for people, and I can I don't do little things, and I think it is, and this is such a cliche, but the thought that counts, and I think is much more important than the gift. And if you're not in a place where you can do this for somebody, then don't. And they're going to understand, I promise. I remember my first Christmas with Amy, when we were still in law school. She didn't have, she was very, very, very broke. And I was too. We were both broke, but like she came from like a whole level of broke that I had never been. And so she was in a place where, like, she gave, I think, I bought her like a Coach purse for Christmas, and she gave me like a Spice Girls calendar. because she knew I liked Spice Girls, and she thought it was funny, and it was a $10 gift or whatever, and that was
Mhm.
the extent of what she could do, and it was very nice. And then and I bought her like a $300 purse because that's what I was, it was in my realm. But then I remember the next year, like, she wanted to just make gifts for people, so she went through and she got ornaments, and she actually like made ornaments for people, and like put in the effort, and each one probably cost very little, but it was the thought that counted. It was very nice. And and I think that if you can't, if you really are a gift giver, if it's something that really means a lot to you, and the holiday means a lot to you, but you don't have the finances, then making something nice for someone is good. And you don't have to make something expensive. You don't have to use a lot of crafts either. Just like little things are nice. Just little thoughts and stuff can be really nice. Just a handwritten card is something. I
So
mean,
true.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, over the years, I used to send out Christmas cards to anyone who asked for one. And the last year I did it was several years ago, but when it was almost, I think I sent out almost 1,700 Christmas cards. I started getting a little much. But
God.
I would do a handwritten. I actually made the effort of doing a handwritten message in each card, and not just signing my name, but an actual handwritten message in each card. So I'd have to start doing, it started like around Halloween in order to
I
get the
was gonna
letter.
say,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was insane. But I had people reach out and say, I don't get a lot of Christmas cards, so this is the only card I've gotten, and your last year's is still on the fridge, because just the handwritten message was a nice little gift. And so, if you are someone who really wants to give, but you just don't have the financial means to do so, don't let that stress you out. Just little things are great. Little things are perfect, and that little thought means a lot more than buying something glitzy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've definitely cut back on giving, and even saying, I used to try to give gifts to everyone in my family, whether it's a $15 to $20 gift, and then having to cut some of those people out and say, well, maybe you'll just get a card instead. I don't think I'm still providing something, right? But it's not the same monetary value, but it is the thought.
Yes.
And everybody gets bills in the mail anyway, so it'd be nice to get a
Something
handwritten
that's
card or
true.
something. Yeah. I
Yeah.
I don't go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Nope. You go.
I was just gonna say I don't love the like the holidays are just kind of take it or leave it. I get time off or whatever. I say that, but then when I had to spend my first Christmas in Nashville during the pandemic away from my family, I realized, oh shit, this can be hard for I understand why it's so hard for people. And I think if you're in that situation where whether you're single or you're away from family or whatever the case may be, finding something that used to be a tradition with your family, like for example, we always used to go out and look at lights in the neighborhood, and that would be something we would do as a family. I tried to do those same things alone, and that still brought me joy. Even though my family wasn't right next to me, it was still something that continued a tradition that I enjoyed, and I continue that alive. Even if it's just yourself doing it is a nice gesture.
Well, that's interesting, and I think that could work. I would say the alternative is to then create instead of doing, like, if that's something that you is also creating a new tradition, like doing
Right.
something. This is what I used to do with my family. Now I'm doing this, and this is my new thing to do because I'm alone, or I'm away or whatever. And it becomes your new thing, and that's okay too. To start new traditions is not a bad thing. I'm not a big fan of traditions for the sake of tradition. Like, this is how we've always done it. So I like the idea of starting something new.
Hmm. Yeah. And who's to say it just takes 1 year for it to be a tradition, right?
That's true. I mean, that's a very good point. I mean, just like, I feel like in Florida for the last few years, my Christmas tradition was usually to go to the strip club. That was my tradition.
Christmas
Just
tradition.
yeah,
I know
it was,
people go to the movies on
yeah.
Christmas and they see a different movie, and that could be especially if you're alone or whatever the case may
I
be.
hate
That
doing it then because that's when you find too many people at the
is
theater. Like,
it
oh, that's when a lot of people do it now.
really.
Yeah. Well, like post Thanksgiving, the day actually Thanksgiving Day is one of the busiest movie days
I would have
because
never
all the
thought
families go after lunch, or like they eat like at 1 and then they go to the movies. But
because it's the only
Christmas is
thing
also,
open.
yeah, and Christmas is also
Oh,
another one of those. So I
oh, well,
tend to avoid that if I can. But I understand why people would, and I think that could be a fun thing to do.
yeah. If you want to
Um,
be around people and you're alone, that could be a good alternative.
but yeah, I take it to an extreme. Go to that, go to that local dive bar or whatever, and just that place, and I can just chill, still be around some people if I want to be. But I don't have to be. And yeah, I like it's funny. My family's never really understood why I don't really like holidays. And it's not because they've never been toxic. They've never been like, our holidays have actually always been pretty good. It's just, I kind of got done with them. I was just like, I'm just kind of done with the like the crass commercialization of it. And it's just like, it's toxic, and like, and everybody gets so needy and clingy and shitty, and like, and you have to meet with people you don't want to talk to and all these things. So I'm like, let me just abstain. And like, and I think that's helped me not really get sad in those times, is that I look at it, I'm like, I don't want to participate in all of that. Like, I'm just, it does, none of that brings me joy. And so by not participating, I'm doing myself a favor.
Yeah, the consumerism of it all really pisses me off. Yes, there are some good deals if you are in the market for something specific that you've had your eye on for. But then it turns into, oh, this is the gift guide for this, and I have to buy this, or I really want this because everyone's getting this for Christmas. And it's like, do I really fucking need this? Is this really going to enhance my well-being or my life in any way? Or is it just we're all wrapped up in impressing other people? And that's what I don't like about the holidays, is some of the gift giving is to impress others. Some of the get together thing is just to show face. And it's taking a step back and going, let's be mature about, I don't have to do these things anymore if they don't actually bring me joy.
Yep, exactly. I mean, yeah, you are not obligated to do anything that you don't want to. And if you feel obligated to do so, then you might be trapped by your family. And that's worse too. People who like feel obligated because they don't want to upset any member of their family or grandma or whatever, because she's 100 and who knows, whatever, she doesn't remember, she's going to be dead anyways. Does it really matter? Like, just it's okay to step away and do your own thing. If you had to wait for all the people you didn't like or that you didn't want to offend to die, like, you're never going to have the chance to actually do anything on your own. Sometimes you just have to say fuck it and go do things.
That's true. Or
I mean,
don't,
maybe not as blunt as I just said it.
fuck it, or don't do certain things as well. Like,
yeah,
I think there's a big expectation of, and maybe it's all these fucking Hallmark movies or whatever, the home for the holidays, where someone has to shell out a couple of $100s to fly home to see family for that week or whatever, when they could have saved that money. And yes, they might have been alone, but they would have had a better time being
that's
alone.
right. Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's hard to say, oh, I'd rather be alone than with you guys and risk hurting feelings, or not know that you might actually be happier being alone because you've never done that before. You've never created your own traditions in that way. But yeah, if you're unhappy because you have to go travel to see certain people or whatever, or spend the money to travel, you're allowed to not do that as well. Yeah. This is you getting permission to not do those things, because you have the expectation to take care of yourself and your own finances and your own mental well-being.
And I think that's the priority people need to start making themselves, is prioritizing themselves and their mental well-being. And I know this, we have a lot of listeners who have kids and then think, well, what about the kids? Well, kids will do whatever traditions you decide you want to do for Christmas. I mean, I have friends who, whose kids, every year they take a trip and they go somewhere different for Christmas. And it's not like they don't go with family. They just go somewhere, somewhere else for the bit, and they have fun sometimes. And there's some where they do Christmas. I mean, Amy's family, I always found it interesting and actually kind of respected this. They all worked, her entire family was was lower income, and they all worked at like a variety of like retail and service industry and everything. And so they did Christmas like whenever they were able to get the majority of them together. And so it might be a week before Christmas, it might be 2 weeks after, and it was just like, that's when they got together and that was their Christmas. And I always appreciated that, because they were willing to just reschedule it because, oh yeah, well, so-and-so has to work and this person, and everything. And whereas my family was always very rigid. It was always like, no, this is when we do it, on this date, and that's it. And and you couldn't do anything different about it, because you have to keep the tradition the way it is, I guess. Yeah. So I think it's another reason I don't like it too, is because I'd rather have some flexibility built in there. But I think that with your, if you're feeling like obligated, and you're feeling like like with your children, start something new, and maybe grow something new with your kids, and you might find it to be something even more exciting and something you actually look forward to every year.
Yeah, and build in stuff that like, oh, I don't want them to miss out on this or that. You can build in those things into that new tradition, I think.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I mean, I had friends whose kids, they like every year they pick 10 of their toys that they donate to charity, and that's their Christmas. They don't actually get they might get one
Aw.
gift each. But that's it. They get one gift, and then they have to choose 10 things of theirs to donate to somebody else. And I feel like that's a really like nice way to kind of show that the holiday maybe isn't as commercialized.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, and it can be, obviously kids can get resentful about that, but you know, they're kids. They'll learn from your example.
They'll get over it. Yeah, like that was one thing as a kid we used to do, was to pick an angel and go shopping for that angel. The child in need. And I actually really did enjoy that, because it's like, oh, what do they want? Let's look for this gift for a 4-year-old and go shopping for them. And that was always fun. And
Yeah.
that really felt like going back to, instead of consume, you're giving. Yes, you are participating into the consumerism to a degree, but you are giving to your community in a way where they really do need those things.
Yep. And I think that the last aspect of this that we want to talk about maybe is like kind of the single versus couple. Since we talk about dating a lot and everything, and that, being single for the holidays, you can kind of feel like maybe the holidays are meant for couples. And I don't think that's necessarily true. I think there's a lot of events, like I feel like you have to actively seek out the events though, but they are your town has tons of events, unless you're in like some little small, BFE or whatever, tons of things going on, and tons of, there's all types of like things, like just holiday
Christmas
concerts
markets and
Christmas
ice
markets,
skating
and
rink
yeah,
things.
exactly.
Yeah.
And you can go with your friends. You can do a meetup. Meetup has a lot of things going on during the holidays as well, because there's a lot of people who are alone. And I think that if you don't like being alone during the holidays, then call up your friends and say, hey, let's go plan something. Let's plan out for, whether it's a friends deal where everybody brings something a potluck, or you all go
Ornament exchange or a cookie party or
yes,
something
cookie
where
party,
you're
like
getting
something fun like
together.
that. Yeah. Or hell, you go volunteer your time at a local like soup kitchen to serve other people for meals. I think that, if you sit at home and you're just going to be sad about it, you can make efforts to go, to do things that'll keep you occupied. And I think will also maybe give you a little bit more of the holiday spirit than you might realize.
Yeah, that's a good point. Instead of just saying, oh, I don't agree that it's really for couples, because I think there are so many activities where a
We
single
said like
person
all the Hallmark movies and stuff like that. Like it's always like,
Hallmark movies,
but I'm
yes,
saying
but
like the idea of the holidays is always like, oh, the couple, it's always like, it's just,
that's miserable and
yeah.
fighting and pissed that they didn't get the gift that they
True.
thought they were getting from their significant, or they have to spend Christmas or whatever at their spouse's family's
Oh
house
God, yeah.
and not,
yeah.
and then so they're not doing what they want. I think that there's a lot more, and we mention this all the time, there's a lot more unhappiness if you're a couple during the holidays than I think if you're single. Because if you're single, it's really just the mindset of, okay, I don't want to be alone. What can I do to solve that problem? Perfect. Yep. And then you can do all of the things Adam just listed. But if you're unhappy and you're coupled up and you have all these other plans, what's the fucking alternative?
That's true.
Leave the relationship or not do those things at the risk of pissing off your partner, or you go along for the ride for some of these things that you really didn't want to do, like RIP Roy. I want to do certain Christmas things, and he's like, I guess we can do them, but I would be happy to go by myself too. But I do think it would be fun together. But it's one of those of testing out even if you're in a couple, what activities would I like to do alone versus with my partner versus like keeping everybody balanced, because there is such an expectation of everyone all together doing these things, where I think you need to lower that and go, it's cool if people drop out. It won't offend me. It won't hurt my feelings. Everyone's going through something different at this time. And we don't really focus on that enough, because we focus on how magical it is and like the final, like the day of Christmas, instead of people's emotions around the holiday. So give more grace towards people.
I like that. And I think it's important to remember that you're not alone. And I think that's a lot of people sometimes feel alone, but you're not actually alone. There's a lot of people who feel similar, and there's lots of things you can do about it. There's lots of people you can reach out to if you do feel, like you're completely alone. You're not, I promise.
Yeah, and don't go hook up with an ex around the holidays,
yes, please
or
do not.
or
Yes.
like you do a Santa stumble or some fucking bar crawl in your hometown when you're back. Or it's always the fucking week of Thanksgiving. That like the Blackout Wednesday. That's what they've coined that term or whatever, where you go back to your hometown bars and then you end up seeing all the people you went to school with, and then something happened. Just don't do those things. Aren't going to make you happy during the holidays. Can tell you, don't do those things.
Well, the Blackout Wednesday might be. I mean, I have to having participated in that occasionally in Wednesday night drinking. I feel on Thanksgiving week, I feel like that can be pretty fun.
But then don't go seek out high school exes or people from your hometown who still live there. Is like, this is the great opportunity to rekindle this thing.
And I think our final bullet on this is just, it's very simple. It's okay to just be sad too. Like, you don't have to be happy. It's okay to have sadness. It's an emotion that you should feel. You don't have to repress it. You don't have to hold it back. It's okay to be sad. Just know that, when you're done being sad, there are ways that maybe you can work with that. And obviously we're not even talking about like general depression and medication, all these other things you could do. Obviously we're not giving any type of medical advice, but this is just like a kind of a what to do if you're feeling a little sad because of the holidays or the related events around.
Yeah. But yes, you can be sad, but I would suggest calling some loved ones who live nearby or who just might be there to lean on and let them know how you're feeling, because that could change the outlook on your holidays too. If they might know that if you don't let people know that you're feeling sad because of certain things, they're never going to read your mind.
That's
so
true.
let those people know so they could, it'll be easier to reach out to them to plan something if that is something you want to do.
Yeah, that's very true. If you have any tips for how to survive the holidays, we'd love to hear them. You can call our DKS hotline, of course, at 407-519-0181, or you can email us at datingkindasuckspodcast@gmail.com with any tips.
And although I always forget that we have our Facebook group, you can put your questions or just share how you're feeling about the holidays in our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/DKS Podcast.
And if you want to find us in other places, you can find us on YouTube, of course, if you're not already watching us at youtube.com/datingkindasucks, Instagram at datingkindasucks. And of course, we both have individual Instagrams that we post on a little more frequently than our DKS one, and our TikToks at Adam Heath and at @simplysarahg_.
If you've been enjoying this podcast for a while, or this is your first one and you're just tuning in, be sure to give the podcast a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. It really does mean a lot to help the podcast grow. Or if you're listening on Spotify, be sure to follow on there. And I have been mentioning too, if you've been listening for a while and you know friends who would really benefit from hearing the advice we talked about on this episode, share this with them, share the timestamp, or like, I love that they said this, share it on social media, share the episode and tag us as well, just to spread the word about this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you do like to support us and you'd like to support us more, you can do that at Patreon. And that's patreon.com/DKS Podcast for $5 a month. We do bonus episodes when we can. If you're listening to this episode, wondering if there's going to be a bonus episode after this, there's not, because it's 9:30. I'm tired.
Oh, damn. I was going to ask you about that.
No, and I'm going to, after we were finished recording this, I'm going to go eat some dinner. I'm starving. So we're not going to have time to do one this week, but we will do one for our future episodes. And of course, we have new episodes typically coming out every 2 weeks. With travel and everything that Sarah's going to be on, we'll see how we stick to that. But they'll be coming out as frequently as we can. Just make sure once you subscribe to our notifications, then you will know when we have a new episode. So
yeah, you won't miss a thing.
We'll be back then with whatever new episode we come up with.
Until next time.
Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we get no luck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yuck, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.